Hey, I just want to give some free advice to the white progressives, particularly white progressive women who may be thinking about marching against the Trump victory, maybe putting back on the P-word hats and doing that thing. I would just say probably don't send any of those invites to any black women you know. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not coming. I'm pretty sure black women have resigned from the Save America Coalition, Save Democracy Coalition, and definitely the Save the Democratic Party Coalition. I think that's probably not happening. I would just keep those invites maybe among your own friends because I don't think they're coming. But yeah, I think black women are now on the Save Black Women, Prioritize Black Men, and prioritize black communities, black businesses, and that. And, you know, the black spaces, but Save America, Save the Democratic Party. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about the collapse of the mainstream liberal media, which is in full swing following the Trump landslide victory over Kamala Harris. Okay, if you guys have been paying attention to the stock market, right? The stock market has been skyrocketing ever since Trump won the election, and what's happening to MSNBC and CNN's ratings are the exact opposite of that, right? It's the exact opposite, okay? Their ratings are plummeting into the ground. As you can see here, Joy Reid down 54.6%, Ari Mebler down 49.6%, Chris Haynes down 47.2%, Alex Wagner down 53.6%, Morning Joe down 39.6%, Stephanie Rule down 67%, Andre Michelle down 39.7%. Now, again, this comes after MSNBC, let's just say they did not have a good night on election night.
All the anticipation, all the excitement, all the anxiety, all the doom scrolling, all the manic refreshing of polling averages, it has all been leading to this hour. And we know you have every choice in the world for where to spend tonight, so we're really grateful that you're spending it with us, and we hope you'll be with us through the duration.
How's everybody doing? First time voting?
Yes.
How you feeling?
Good.
You guys doing okay, too?
Yes, we're doing great. Kamala la la.
I was going to ask who you're going to vote for, but I didn't need to.
Kamala la la, because lives matter.
First time voting? As you know, this is where the Harris campaign wants to drive up the numbers to sort of counteract that T in the middle of Pennsylvania, to counteract the rural votes that the Trump campaign is expected to get.
And so what you've seen in the last couple of weeks, if this is an audition for managing a complex organization like the United States, Kamala Harris has passed the audition flawlessly. This has been, in many ways, a perfect campaign. And what the campaign is talking about now is the granular get out the vote effort that you just don't see on the other side. On the other side, you're seeing Charlie Kirk going on Twitter this morning and begging people to vote.
The last week has been a very good close for Kamala Harris, not a good close for Donald Trump. He hasn't been able to fill the rallies. He's addled. He has racist comedians opening up. Whatever. It's been a trashy week for Donald Trump.
A few moments later.
But it sounds like the Harris campaign is sort of keeping things tight in terms of whether or not they're going to string people along into thinking this is going to happen.
What they went to that venue tonight hoping to see and witness was a historic election of Kamala Harris to the presidency.
Yeah.
Was the end of the Trump era as they knew it. And so we don't know the outcome yet, but that is not what they are receiving, and they are being told to go home and wait till tomorrow.
And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. You know, I mean, she had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Swifties. She had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign.
In Western Europe and in the UK and in the Middle East, people are waking up to this.
Oh, and they are.
I've gotten people from Western Europe who are extraordinarily alarmed and terrified.
May I reiterate, there are 2 of the 7 swing states that have been called by NBC News right now, which is Georgia and North Carolina. None of the other 5 states have been called at this point. You can see this is the battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the so-called blue wall. None of those states called by NBC News. In the swing state of Pennsylvania, NBC News now projects that presidential contest has been won by Donald Trump. It presents an insurmountable future here for Kamala Harris and for the Democratic ticket. Let's watch as Trump takes the stage in Palm Beach, Florida.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Boy, it's going to be a real tough speech for her.
Yeah, so it's not a good night for MSNBC, okay? Like I told you guys, in response to Kamala Harris losing, okay, and the viewers being gaslit for 4 years straight with nonstop far-left propaganda, they are now abandoning the network. Again, you have hosts like Joy Reid, who's a full-blown race hustler. Her ratings are down 54.6%, right? That's a lot. She's lost more than half of her audience. I mean, is anybody surprised? I mean, she basically told white progressive women, probably her main audience, her core audience, hey, us black women aren't going to really help you out anymore, okay? In fact, Joy Reid is doubling and tripling down on the identity politics on her network, on her channel, because she's upset that white women did not vote in line with Kamala Harris, the fake black woman. Take a look.
As we try to unpack exactly what happened in last week's election and how Donald Trump won, there's one particularly disingenuous argument that has emerged.
I think one of the losers here is condescending identity politics.
We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think.
The dominance of identity politics on the left, which made it push for all kinds of DEI policies that largely came out of the urban academic bubble, but alienated many mainstream voters.
The idea that identity politics was the problem for Democrats is laughable, considering it wasn't Vice President Kamala Harris who relentlessly focused on race or gender, either her own or anyone else's. That would be Donald Trump. In fact, it was Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, who ran an identity politics entire campaign focused on men. They have an identity, too, you know. I mean, Trump did walk out to the song, "It's a Man's World," at the Republican convention. And again, all the focus on identity politics came from Trump and Vance, not Democrats.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats. We're talking a lot about Venezuela because Aurora is really infected by Venezuela, but they're coming from all countries.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
We will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools.
Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
Yeah. So again, this is why Joy Reid has lost over half her audience. Okay. This is why she is taking into obscurity, is because of the constant gaslighting and lying on her show, right? I mean, imagine being a journalist with a straight face going on national television and saying, yeah, Kamala Harris and Democrats, they didn't run on identity politics, when all we heard about for the past 3 or 4 months is how you must vote for Kamala Harris because she's a black woman. In fact, that's the only argument they had for supporting Kamala Harris, is that you got to support her because she's black and she's a woman, and if you don't, then you're racist, right? You're sexist, and you're bigoted, okay? That's essentially what the main argument was, okay? So I don't know, man. Joy Reid, I think she's really lost the plot here, but she's not the only MSNBC host struggling to cope with the reality of another Trump presidency. You also have other woke anchors at MSNBC struggling as well, too.
The thing that I'm grappling with is that someone was elected who ran a campaign that was openly hostile, openly racist, xenophobic, misogynistic, transphobic, everything. And yet now the election's over. Folks accept the results, but now how do we move forward when we know there are people have people in their families who voted for him? They work with people who voted for him. They live next to people who voted for him. How should we deal with those neighbors, co-workers, family members?
How do you interact with people who you know voted for this?
right? If you are an LGBTQ person and you know someone in your family voted essentially against your rights, or you're a woman knowing that, this man was calling people the B word, J.D. Vance was literally calling Kamala Harris the trash and said, we're going to take out the trash. I know a lot of Black women were incredibly triggered by that. And if you then meet somebody and they voted for the people who called you trash, or if you're Puerto Rican, and someone voted that way, do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around them? We got the holidays coming up.
So I love that you asked this question because, there is a push, I think just a societal norm that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood, and it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why, to say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me. And I actually talked to, adults as well as advising parents for children. I mean, I think, I don't think that you should force children. I don't think you should force adults to be around people just because they're your family. I think there's a level of, need to establish boundaries. And if you feel like you need to establish boundaries with people, whether they're your family or not, I think you should very much be entitled to do so. And I think it may be essential for your mental health.
Yeah. So imagine being a news channel where you have so-called journalists who are supposed to be neutral and unbiased that are openly upset on air to the point where they're having discussions about how the viewers should disown members of their family and their friends over political disagreements, right? This is what they're saying. Okay. That is how much of a cult the left, the Democrat Party, has become. Okay, and the cult is so strong that even the so-called journalists on MSNBC are essentially promoting cult-like behavior. Don't have Thanksgiving with family members who support Trump. Don't treat them with respect. Do not love them because they voted for Trump. Yeah, that's not journalism, right? That's not journalism. And again, I'm not sure how anybody can watch this channel and think that, hey, yeah, I'm getting straight news or that I'm getting unbiased, fact-based information. That's certainly not the case. And again, I think this is why you see a lot of the progressives in the alternative media losing their audience, as well as now the mainstream liberal media, because a lot of people felt gaslit and misled by the coverage of the election by these individuals, right? These same individuals who were saying that, hey, Kamala Harris ran a perfect campaign. She did nothing wrong. She only lost because of racism, okay? And then they turn around and they browbeat the same people who they needed to vote for Kamala Harris. They essentially shamed them for choosing not to vote for her, although Kamala Harris was a historically bad candidate, right? Kamala Harris could not define what was different about her than Joe Biden, okay? And so people decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to vote for what I know. I'm going to vote based off the economy. And these people are losing their minds over it. They're blaming you. You have a problem. You're the issue. Right? You're the bad person. Not them, not the people who lied to you for the last 8 years straight about Trump. No, they're not the issue. Not the people who are completely out of touch with the American people. No, they're not the issue. It's you, the normal people. You are the problem. So yeah, with that being said, is anybody surprised that the network's ratings are tanking, right? Is anybody surprised by this? You should not be surprised. Let's read here. MSNBC's reliably liberal audience has tuned out the anti-Trump network since Election Day with a staggering 54% drop in primetime viewership. MSNBC averaged 1.1 million viewers during the month of October, but plummeted to an average audience of 736,000 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last week, following President-elect Donald Trump's historic landslide victory over Vice President Kamala Harris. MSNBC's remarkable 31% drop comes as Fox News' channel viewership grew by 61% over the same time period. Yeah, I mean, I would be pissed too, right? If I watch a network like MSNBC and they made me believe that Kamala Harris actually had a chance and that she did nothing wrong and that she was amazing and perfect just for her to get blown out on election night, yeah, I would be upset too. I would definitely tune out. MSNBC also shared 26% of its year-to-date totals, but things got even worse in prime time. During the primetime hours of 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern. MSNBC averaged 1.8 million total viewers in October, but viewership of Alex Wagner Tonight, All In with Chris Haynes, and The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell have averaged only 808,000 total viewers since election night. The 54% drop represents more than half of the network's primetime viewers, and MSNBC is also down 51% from its year-to-date totals, while Fox News is up 58% in primetime compared to 2024 averages. MSNBC is also down 16% among total day viewers and 57% during primetime among the critical demographic of adults aged 25 to 54, which is most coveted by advertisers. Yeah, so all of the YouTube channels on MSNBC, because that's what they are, they're glorified YouTube channels. They're not news channels or anything like that. They're YouTube channels. All of these opinion podcasts on MSNBC, they are hemorrhaging viewers. I don't even think Rachel Maddow could save this network at this point. People are sick and tired of the Democrat Party propaganda. A longtime TV news executive who asked to remain anonymous noted that MSNBC's audience appeared to love to hate Trump during his first administration, but that doesn't seem to be the case any longer. Quote, as its poorest post-election night ratings show, MSNBC should not expect a Trump bump this time around. Even liberals are rejecting its condescending tone and the divisive rhetoric of its new standard bearer, Joy Reid, the longtime TV news executive, said. Yeah, I agree with that. And honestly, I would go as far as to say I would not be surprised if Joy Reid ends up getting fired. Now, why do I say that? Well, I say that because I don't think that MSNBC and CNN are going to recover in their ratings this time around from Trump derangement. I think Trump derangement has kind of run its course. And here's the thing. It's not like Trump is up for re-election. So you can be Trump deranged all you want. But again, his 4 years are going to be his 4 years, and that's it, right? I mean, they're going to have to find somebody else to fearmonger about. And they're not going to have anybody else to fearmonger about, at least for the next 2 years until the Republican primary, right? So again, you can fearmonger about Trump all you want. But again, he's only going to be there for 4 years. He's not running for re-election or anything like that. And I just don't think it's going to work. I think a lot of people are going to tune it out. I think a lot of people are tired of it. And I think that's the main takeaway from the outcome of this election, that Trump derangement does not work anymore. And the only thing that Joy Reid has is race hustling and Trump derangement. Also think that American people have rejected identity politics as well, too. That's the only thing that Joy Reid has. And again, if she can't recover in her viewership, why would you keep her at the network, right? I mean, she's not a real journalist. She's incapable of actually talking about anything else or covering anything else. She's never going to be critical of the Democrat Party in a real way outside of saying that they're racist, right? I mean, so what did she bring to the table? I actually would not be surprised to see her get fired, okay? And you have some people who are already leaving the mainstream liberal media, like, for example, Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace has decided that, hey, he's going to leave CNN after he basically failed at CNN, and he wants to do podcasting, right? He thinks that he's going to find success doing podcasting. Maybe he thinks he's going to be the next Joe Rogan, but I don't see that being the case. I think that just like Don Lemon, he's going to crash out, right? He thinks that he's more talented than he actually is. Now, Don Lemon was forced away from CNN, right? He was fired from CNN, so he didn't really have a choice. But you can see the success of people like Don Lemon. You can see the success of people like Tiffany Cross and some of these other individuals that have left mainstream liberal media, have been fired, and now they're doing podcasts. Nobody gives a damn about them. They're more relevant than ever, right? But you can see the success of individuals like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. I think Chris Wallace actually thinks he can be Tucker Carlson. I think he was inspired by Tucker, but he doesn't understand that you don't have the talent, right? You don't have the same level of talent as a Megyn Kelly or a Tucker. And I think that Chris Wallace here, he's been a little delusional thinking that he can find success in the podcast space, but who knows, right? One thing I will say is that he's seeing that the mainstream liberal media is dying and that alternative media is where it's at. Again, the problem with these individuals is that outside of these multi-billion-dollar media conglomerates, they don't actually really have a real audience, okay? Nobody actually really cares about them and their opinions, and a lot of them are going to find out the hard way when they leave and try podcasting, or they get fired and they're forced into it. And then they're going to see that, oh, wait, nobody actually gives a damn about what I got to say. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.